Was it difficult? I mean, because when you look at the statistics, they are incredibly shocking. But to find the women, was that difficult? And how did you get them to talk about this subject?
Well, it was not, for us, it was not too difficult to find them in a way. We did it was a long process of research. I think we worked 1.5 years on the topic before we went to Congo and to find women and organizations. And the witnesses we have in the film, we actually found through the women activists in our film. And she already had such a trustable bond with these victims, and she trusted us, and that was important. She knew why we wanted to make the story, and it was very sincere. So in this way we met the victims, and we first built up like a trust, a trustable bond, and they knew exactly why we were doing this, and they also wanted to tell their story. That was their biggest motivation.
Was that very clear from the beginning, though, when you met the women through the key character in the film in a lot of ways, who's the activist? She's crucial, but once you met them, was it quite clear that they wanted this story told, and why did they want it told?
I must say there are so many women raped in Congo that there are a lot of women who are also talking about it. It's still a huge taboo, but the numbers are so big that there are groups of women that are coming together and slowly breaking the silence and talking about what they went through. And there are so many, like in a village there. I mean, everyone knows someone who has been raped. So slowly there's a sort of conversation going, and because these women are sort of helped by the activist that is in our film, Chantal, they already are in that process. They told the first time already their story to Chantal and her and the women that she works with. So they really wanted to tell their story. And there are more women in Congo that want to let the world know what's happening there.
One of the things about your film is that on the one hand it explores rape as a taboo in terms of social attitude, but the other factor is because so many women of all ages have been affected, it's almost no longer a taboo. It's an everyday part of life. Is that fair, do you think?
Well, the difficulty in Congo is that it's difficult to understand. So many women have been raped, but it's still a huge taboo, and that is still the case. And that's because in the cultures, like when a woman is raped, it's not accepted that if she has a husband, she's raped. That's unacceptable, and she's. I mean,
there's one of the lines in one of the interviews of the husband of a woman who is raped who says, "It's impossible for me to share my wife with a Burundian."
Or she was raped by 6 men, and he said, "How can I be the 7th?" So that's
the taboo.
Yeah, it's just unacceptable. There's also a lot of pressure from the community. Even if you know that your wife has been raped, forced, then still
that's not good enough for the men in some ways.
And there's a lot of pressure from the community, like, you cannot stay with your wife. I mean, there's a lot of, they make your life really hard. And in the end, you don't have, in the film, one of the men saying like, yeah, if you stay with your raped wife, then you don't have rest. So if you want to have sort of peace and rest, then
because otherwise people will just, shout across the street, he's the one that shares his wife with soldiers and that kind of thing. So the communities, it's so deep in the communities that it's not accepted that women have been raped, because they blame it on the women, that it's very difficult for them. Actually, the reason why we made this film about what happens after women have been raped is because the hell is actually starting after they've already been through so much and gang rapes and things.
One of the things that comes through in the film by exploring this issue of rape is the role of women, or how women are seen in society in Eastern Congo. How did you deal with that, and where do you think how women are seen in society?
Women are seen as, I think, third-class citizens. They have little rights. But then on the other hand, and that's in a lot of places in Africa, without the women, the economy would not run. The women do the work. But on the one hand, the men are sort of yeah, there's just less rights, and for example, the activist in our film, she's not saying it in the film, but she explained us when she was young, she already understood the difference. Like, okay, why are my brothers allowed to go to school, and why I'm not allowed to go to school? Those little things. I think Chantal, the activist, she from a young age sort of stood up.
Understood that there were certain things in women, about women that they couldn't.
Against that. So that's probably why she is an activist now. She's doing really amazing work. So there are women who are slowly on, there are women groups who are fighting for their rights, and I think that's a really good thing. But it goes really, really slow.
A lot of people, you know, who want to watch this film will probably think, God, you know, it's a subject that I feel very strongly about, but can I watch this for an hour? The thing that surprised me watching it is actually, it is horrifying and it is shocking, but it's also, in a strange way, empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find it very important to, you know, to give a fair chance. Like, they're not victims because they're fighting very hard for it. And the people in, well, everywhere in Congo, they've been through so much. It's unbelievable how much strength and pride they have, and that they still continue after everything that's happened. So we didn't want to portray them as victims, because...
But as survivors.
Yeah, as survivors and fighters as well.
There is one simple question when anyone reads about this subject and you consider that, you know, between 40 and 80,000 women, I mean, according to official statistics, 70,000, yeah, well, who knows, but I mean, of that scale, have been raped from ages as young as 3, sometimes even younger. All the way through. Why? Why do you think rape, which is described as a weapon or as a byproduct of war, why are all parties to of this war doing it? Is there an answer to that?
It's very difficult. Like, we have been working on this topic now for quite a few years, and we also have the same question. Like, why are the rapes going on, like, constantly, and by so many different our Congolese rebel groups, the National Army, groups from Rwanda, Uganda? It's like, it's one big mess with all those different militias, and a lot of victims don't even know who raped them. Was it a Burundian or a Congolese? Or and then there's also the thing, why are they using so much violence?
Exactly.
It's not only rape. It's
savage. I mean, it's unspeakable.
But they do, like, they use rape, and that's something that's very clearly visible in Congo. They use to destroy. Because if you rape the woman, then you destroy, like, her family, and the whole community is built around it. That's the thing, though, isn't it? It's the knock-on
effect, as you said. The hell begins after the rape, not just for the women, but for families, the whole community.
Yeah, because in a way in Congo, you know that if you rape a woman, that she will be abandoned, because that's the whole...
You break up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you destroy it.
But exactly why?
And it's difficult. I can understand why maybe foreign rebel groups are using it because it's not their people, it's not their country. But it's difficult to understand why the Congolese rebel groups are also doing it, and there are different rebel groups active.
But the impression you get from the nature of the conflict in Eastern Congo is that, as Westerners, one thinks of wars between different ethnic and national groups, but people and societies have moved around between the borders of Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, Congo. So there is an intimacy, because that's the other thing that comes through from this film, is that it's an incredibly intimate film, but because the effects of rape are so intimate. Would you say that that's fair?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's I think very strong also in the film, that you're really there. You get sort of a bonding also with the people in the film, the victims, but also the husbands, and
The film deals with a lot of very graphic testimony, and one of the most sort of harrowing moments is where the young girl describes what happened to her, and, you know, she's looking down and her voice is breaking. Was it difficult to get all the women in your film to talk so graphically? Because, you know, it doesn't spare any details at all. Was it difficult to get them to?
No, like how we really got a bonding with them and a trust, and then we kept the interviews very small and very intimate because they were still afraid to tell this in the open.
Sure.
So we just did it in their small houses and made sure that there were no other people listening in. No, it was surprisingly but Congolese are storytellers, so they have this in them that they can just tell a story. But for us, it was surprising that they could tell it in so much detail. That was also for us a big surprise. But for the film and for to tell their story and bring it out, it helped a lot that they were so open.